Although,
to this
kind of
day.
speaking like of the new normal, that's what kind of concerns me because we already have so many things on the plate that Disney is making. For Walt Disney World, we have Tron, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. For Disneyland, we have Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. There's several projects that are going on right now. But my question is, what is going to be Disney's calling after those attractions? Like, how far of a rut are they in as far as financially to say, hey, we can put more out every couple years? Is it going to be, because they used to have like 3 or 4 things going off at once?
Yeah.
Is the new normal going to be one thing per resort every 5-6 years?
Well, I think for Disneyland, I think everything is sort of on hold right now until they get an answer on Disneyland Forward. I think that's kind of like Disneyland Forward. According to them, it takes about 18 months from when they made the announcement in March of this year. So March of 2021, it takes about 18 months from then to get an announcement on that zoning, to get a word on what Anaheim will approve or not approve. Mm-hmm. I don't think Disneyland is going to announce anything until they know what they're able to do with this resort, until they get either yes or no from Anaheim. And that really is not far away.
Vash and I actually calculated the time frame, and for the 18 months from the time when they announced it, it would be in September of 2022, which is the time for the D23 Expo. So
Destination, D23 Expo. Yeah. No, we got that right. Yes, you are exactly right. D23 Expo.
Yep. So yes, I don't think Disney is gonna, at least in Anaheim. Florida's a whole different situation, but at least in Anaheim, I think they're gonna wait. I think they're gonna kind of see what land they have available based on the Anaheim decision for Disneyland Forward before they decide to move forward, so to speak, with any kind of new plans. And why would they? That's a smart thing to do. Yeah. I mean, if Disneyland Forward is approved by the city of Anaheim, that opens up a whole new world, a whole new world to stay on brand for what they can do for expansions and new park stuff and new attractions. So why announce something? Why shoehorn something into one of the parks right now when in like a year from now you have the ability to really kind of go all out? So that's what I think they're going to do. I think we're not going to hear anything for Disneyland for a long time until Disneyland Forward gets the green light.
Yeah, I mean, what I've been hearing about, like WDI in general, right? I think we said this pretty early on in terms of the shutdown, that investment, capital expenditures when it comes to WDI and Imagineering and so forth, that's going to be on hold for the next 3 to 4 years. I think that timeline is still consistent, right? But more importantly, because the shutdowns went on for so long, it's now about, like, we need to invest in some other places other than the parks. And I think a lot of money is being funneled into the studio, into Disney Plus, and to some of these other divisions that really need shoring up for the foreseeable future. And the Disney parks are going to be a little bit on the back burner. That's not to say that we won't get investments down the line. It's just right now it's just so many moving parts in the company.
Especially like with the main headquarters of WDI, moving from Flower Street to Lake Nona. And a lot of the Imagineers have been there for 15 plus years. Yeah. Their hands are tied, and a lot of them are, having to make that hard decision to, give up their dream job, so to speak. So it's like cutting how many of those Imagineers out of the equation until more come on board in Lake Nona. How much of a delay would that, take up?
Yeah, and really, like, I think, and a lot of my park people watching this are not going to like what I'm going to say right now, but it's just the truth of the matter. Disney has enough stuff in the pipeline right now, like with Mickey, Minnie's Runaway Railway coming to Disneyland. You have a lot of stuff in the pipeline for Florida. You have 18 months of the 50th. You have Tron, Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind. There's enough in the parks pipeline in both resorts to kind of keep the parks chugging along for a while. I think the focus of the company should be Disney Plus. I do. I think that is the future of entertainment. And Disney Roy Disney said it himself. Disney will always be centered in the film business. And that's
Yeah.
really what they are. They're centered in the film business. That's the bread and butter. That's what feeds the entire company. They need to focus on Disney Plus. That's the future of the studio. If you don't have the content, you don't have a lot of the rides coming to the parks. And that's the reality of the situation. The studio is what feeds the parks with the IP.
Yeah.
I agree with you with that. I really do,
you gotta
because
focus.
during the time of the shutdown, if Disney Plus was not up and running during the time of the shutdown, the Disney company would have been in deep doo-doo.
Oh, yeah.
Because that at least brought in some revenue to keep their heads afloat until they could decide to say when the parks could be reopened.
And it kept the stock price high, which is extremely important, especially when you're talking about, hey, there's there's some people, that have been around that have wanted to absorb the Disney company in multiple ways. So to keep that stock price high, I think was very fortunate for the company. And like you said, George, Disney Plus played a huge role in that. Look, and people are going to be like, well, it's Bob Chapek. That's why there's no investment and stuff like that. Look, let's be fair here. When he was the chairman of the Parks Experiences and Parks Division, there was at one time $25 billion worth of capital expenditures going throughout the Parks Division, right? I mean, just all kinds of investments. I don't think even Chapek is adverse to spending money in the Parks division at all. It's just right now there's just so many moving parts. There's so much ground to make up on. There's so much lost revenue. You really have to spend it wisely, and I think that's where we're at.
Well, and Dre, you bring up a fantastic point. This narrative out there that Bob Chapek bad, he's super cheap, he won't invest in anything.
Yeah,
really? Because Disney's most expensive hotel experience, the Galactic Star Cruiser, is Bob Chapek's baby.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is not a cheap endeavor at all. It doesn't look cheap. It costs a lot of money for Disney to make. It's not gonna. It's gonna cost a lot of money for you to stay there. But for all intents and purposes, though, that's a quality themed experience. It really is.
And a lot of people thought that was going to be on the chopping block when they were running everything down the list of what was going to be cut, what was going to stay. Everyone thought, the Star Cruiser didn't even break ground yet. They didn't even lift one part of gravel off the ground. But no, they said this is moving forward, and sure enough, here it is.
Right, and then top that with Tron, which again was greenlit under Bob Chapek as the parks chief. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, which again was greenlit under Bob Chapek as park chief. Remy Ratatouille Adventure, and I know it's not the most exciting thing.
Paris. Well, I was just going to say Zootopia at Shanghai Disneyland. Disneyland Paris, remember that whole huge reinvestment into their second park, Walt Disney Studios?
Right.
I mean, there was a huge amount of investment going on all over the place, and that was under Chapek, like you said, yeah.
Exactly. So I don't think Chapek is adverse, like Dre was mentioning, to spending money. I just think that, it's going to be more towards the IP, obviously,
and even with the cruise line. I mean, he almost nearly doubled the cruise line industry before he even became. It went from 4 to 7 of the announcement. I mean, the Wish is still going to be coming up, but there's still 2 more ships after that.
Right, and that was on his watch. So this whole narrative, and look, a lot of younger people that, I'm old enough to remember the Paul Pressler era. None of this. I'm telling you right now, none of this would have happened under Paul Pressler. Paul Pressler, they barely funded Disneyland to keep the lights on. Okay, I mean, it was so bad. And Bob Chapek as park chief was green lighting new cruise ships, Galactic Star Cruiser hotels, TUI tickets for Walt Disney World, and yada yada yada. Come on, there's no comparison. You don't have to like Bob Chapek, but one thing that he is with the parks is not cheap. If there's an IP attached to it, he'll spend the money. Absolutely.